Wednesday, October 25th, 08:32 a.m. New York time. Good morning. Going to go over a trade idea that closed this week for profits, for winners. It's a trade idea using options on a stock, Spotify. Top left here is the stock symbol, SPOT, Sierra Papa Oscar Tango. The trade idea was back here where that yellow arrow is facing down. It was a bearish trade using options, bear call spreads, looking for the price to stay below our short strike. That's that big red candle. And we're using contracts that expired 20th October. See that on the left, 20th October. I chose those contracts because they were closing before earnings. I wanted to be out before earnings. Anytime closing before earnings was fine. One was to be out before earnings, because again, earnings certainly can have the market change either direction, more unknown, more risk. So went short that day, and the contract expired here for max profits. Very nice. Look here on my Patreon page. There's a tool here, the magnifying glass. You can type in the stock symbol, SPOT, cue it in, and it will show you all the posts I did on spot or that keyword. But specifically, this trade was shared on September 8th. It's a trade idea. Spotify. When you open it up, it showed Spotify the stock last price right there. And the positions I was looking to do, bear call spreads, and some of the examples I was giving. Sample 1, again, same contract for both of them. Sample 2, different deltas because of different strikes. So example 1, the most that you can make is $115 per spread for that example. 170, 175, you see that 5 strikes wide. The second example, lower risk because I had a lower delta. Delta 23. Again, same thing, 5 strikes wide, but a lower delta. And the max you can make is 75. And there's some other stuff I posted about it on these other days. So to see this information, you would have to subscribe to my Patreon page. You get the full, and there's a video course on the setup, why I'm choosing this trade at that time, and the breakdown of doing these options. So going here now on a 30-minute chart for the past 5 days, the earnings, again, this was yesterday, Tuesday, 30 minutes, and this was Monday. Earnings were after the market closed and before they opened yesterday. See these little symbols here. So pre-market, between that is when the earnings came out. Again, I was in a bearish trade. Thank goodness we closed because look, it gapped up here. And here are all the news wires my broker provides me. Again, the earnings were yesterday, so we go down here, right here, 1024, Spotify, earnings. I can click this on news, but let's go to one that's maybe a little bit more detailed. See, a lot of them are just giving the real brief. Let's go one that's a little bit more, maybe. Nope, same. There we go. So much more detailed on news, on the earnings. Again, it's all part of the trading platform I have here. Lower this down. I could go up further, see anything that's coming out today, minute by minute, hour by hour. So again, look at this trade closed here. And then the next day, which was yesterday, huge gap up. Remember, I was trading bearish. So thank goodness I got out of it. Going forward. This was Monday, this big green candle. Can you see a reverse strong here? And again, the next day was the earnings. So here's the earnings right here. Gapped up and tested the strike. It was all good for me. I was out of the trade. Very nice. Show you some more here. Zoom out. So yesterday and the gap up here. And this prior gap here, it got filled. So I need to update that. That's not valid anymore. But go look back at my entries, my suggestions, these strikes here. I selected those strikes. Again, that video I showed you on my Spotify, on my Patreon page, gives you detail, again, why I selected those strikes and the price levels and all that good information. And it was way above the risk area. So going forward here, on the daily chart, now I'm looking for another trade idea. Why? Because all that energy used to get up there. And now that the news is over, the primary news, the earnings news, in a day or two, I may have the other trade idea posted. Because again, I like to wait until a day or so, 2 or 3 days sometimes, till after earnings and after the news. Because again, the earnings come out, then you might have the other people come out. The news analysts make their commentaries, which still create volatility. Excuse me. On the weekly time frame, let me zoom out and show you this. This goes there. So on the weekly time frame, on the upside, I also was expecting this period to be retested. Huge candle, above average volume, and they often like to be retested, the bottom and the high. Well, the bottom was tested. When it came back here, the screen candle went back and tested that. And then the high of this big candle range above high volume was tested this week on earnings. Yep. Thank goodness I'm not in the trade right now because I want to wait for that to occur. So, like I mentioned, I'll be watching this closely to look for a trade out there soon. Now, looking at pre-market, is it about another hour? 9:30 New York time. Here's the time right here, 9:39. Less than an hour. Here we'll open up. So I'm looking at pre-market here. Not much activity going on here. Nope. First, yesterday, when it had earnings, pre-market, look at that dump, reverse, and then gapped up because that was the close high there. So again, sitting on my hands. Be setting alerts soon. And finishing this off just by looking at the daily. Zoom out a little bit. This is a 1-year chart. Several things stand out to me right off here, but that would be shared specifically only to my Patreon members. And if you like this information and want to get access to it real time, well, that's posted on my Patreon page and the link is below. Thanks for watching.